most important menus in the software. One of them in the software. If you're comfortable with this, once you've had a face-to-face training or you've had an e-learning module, you understand how this works, it will support you through the rest of your learning. There are 48 activities to help you learn about the brick, the software, the programming part, and the data logging part. So what's here? Well, I'm going to bring up the RoboEducator menu, and I'm going to quickly talk about it. We have lots of sub-menus here. We have a basics to get you started in programming. We then have beyond basics, where we go forward a little bit more with our programming, some of the more complicated stuff. We then do a section on hardware, followed by data logging, how to set up an experiment, how to capture data, how to analyze that data, the tools that are available, and then the building instructions. For example, if you lose the book that you've seen in previous modules, there's an on-screen book of that as well. So there's lots to choose from in here. We're going to start with the basics though, because obviously we're just getting started. So, what happens when I click on basics? As you can see, I've clicked, and I've got 9 activities here to get us started. We're going to start with the second one, which is called Straight Move. So I'm going to click on it, and you can see what I'm presented with is an animation of the task we're going to try out. And I can play that. So I'm going to play that on my screen now, and you can see my robot is moving forwards, and then waiting, moving backwards, and waiting, and then moving forwards again. Now if I want to try that activity, which we do, I click on open, and the software opens up now with a 5-step process. Okay, and this is really important because the 5 steps are as follows. Number 1, step 1, is a video or animation. Step 2, and I'll click on step 2, is a build guide. So if you've lost your build guide, you haven't built your model, it's there for you. Step 3 is an interactive animation. It sort of links reality to the abstraction of programming. Step 4 is you give it a go. And step 5 is always an extension activity to try out with the children. So I want to have a go at this activity. I think it's one I want to do. Let's have a look at what goes on here. So I'm going to click on the play button, click on the start menu here, and you can see in the video it's moving forward, but you can also see highlighted in the programming which icons are being used, which programming blocks are being used. Great. And at any time I can actually look and see in the video what each program does as well, which each programming block does as well. So it's very much linking abstract to the real thing. Now I'm going to have a go at it. So you can see here I've moved to step 4 and it says test it. Okay, I'm going to write this program. So I'm just going to move my start button down. And also, if you notice, I've got the EV3, it's actually in red. It means I'm connected to the computer, ready to go. If I unplug it, you see it grays out. It means I'm not connected. I'm going to connect it again, so you can see it light up, ready for action. Fantastic. So, if I now click on one of these programming blocks, it shows me where to go in the programming. So I'm just going to click and drag it up, and this is the move steering. And it's telling me to change the number of rotations to 2 from 1. So I do that. Fantastic. It then says choose one of the one of the orange blocks, and that is the wait for time. And if I click on that, it actually goes to the menu for me. So it's actually showing me where in the programming all the programming blocks are. So it's really, really clever. So I'm going to bring that up, and by default it's 1 second, which is fantastic. That's what we want. And then we're going to bring in another programming block that tells our robot to move backwards. And it actually tells you on here the actual parameters to set. So here I'm going to change it now to degrees. And we're going to type in 720. So that's going to be 2 rotations. And it says there -50. Now if we drive forward for 50 power, we go forward, and if it's minus 50, we're going to go backwards. A bit like a boat when you put it in forward and reverse. Okay, so we're going to change that to minus 50. Now, if you're like me and you haven't got steady hands, you can actually type in minus 50 as well. Does the same thing if you can't use the slider like me. And then we're going to bring in another wait for block. And then finally, we're going to drive forwards again for, and it says here for time of 1 second. So I'm just going to choose 1 second. Brilliant. That program's ready for me to download. So I click on the download button and you should hear it make a noise. Great. I can now unplug it and I can run my program. And what I should see is it go forward, stop and wait, come backwards, stop and wait, move forwards. Let's see. Fantastic. Now what's really good, and the last thing about RoboEducator, is that teachers can edit all of the pages. And for me, to be able to edit the final page and put in my own activities will really, really extend the learning when it comes to the RoboEducator. Now what we've done on the following screen is a list of activities for you to try. If you can understand them and work through them, then you can do so much with the early sort of programming. Good luck.